Hello, everyone. X Wall Kill Bethelite here. And back on the Jehovah's Witnesses. Jehovah's Witnesses haven't been to a Kingdom Hall, from my knowledge, in a long time. Like, Jehovah's Witnesses haven't been to a hall, they haven't knocked on no door in a long time. And I woke up, just felt like seeing what videos are out, if people are still making videos about Jehovah's Witnesses, and it's still countless. There's still a ton of videos that dropped this week about Jehovah's Witnesses, and they ain't even really active like that. That's how bad a cult is. I don't know of another cult in America, in the USA. And I'm saying USA because that's whose videos I tend to watch, because I don't know any other language. But in the USA, I don't know of another cult that has had more people report on it that it's bad. And I don't know another cult that has come to the point of just not being active at all, as far as knocking on doors and as far as assembling together. I mean, these people are on internet and they're writing letters to people. And I looked this morning and there's like, I don't know, 6 or 7 new videos that came out this week, maybe more. That's how bad it is. That is how bad this cult is. And that's what reminds me of where I came from to get to where I am. I think sometimes we should all just look back at where we came from and compare it to where we are now. And I am far more open-minded than I was when I was a JW. And I don't think if Jehovah's Witnesses were to literally shut down and stop all activity, I don't think that there would be people who ran out of things to say about Jehovah's Witnesses because they are that bad. I mean, you put 1 and 1 together. I'm a 1 and 1 is 2 guy. Typically, things are not that complicated. Some things are, but typically, in general, 1 and 1 is 2. And if there is one cult, one group that people have been consistently making videos on, and a group of people, not just 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, but a group of people have been making videos. There are chat groups online about them, and it's all primarily negative. And this has been going on for, I don't know, 15 years, something like that, maybe longer than that, 20 years. I don't know. How long has there been an internet? That's probably how long people have been, or how long has there been YouTube and been a way to report to people on things that we feel are important. That's how long people have been reporting on Jehovah's Witnesses. And now they ain't even been to the hall or knocked on nobody's door, and there's still videos coming out about them. I know people like Cedars aren't going to ever run out of material, because I think he does videos on whenever they come out with a new magazine or videos on, the broadcast they do. So you as long as there's Jehovah's Witnesses, he's going to have material to talk about. And then there was video about the decline of Jehovah's Witnesses. I think Critical Thinkers did that. That's always interesting. That's always interesting. And yeah, I mean, that's what it is. I woke up and yeah, there's still videos rolling out about Jehovah's Witnesses, and they ain't even been a fourth of themselves since COVID hit. But what I wanted to talk about is the elders, and people never really call me on the topics that I talk about, because I would love an elder to call me out on this, what I'm about to say. But Jehovah's Witnesses never hold their leadership to any standard, and that is part of the problem with Jehovah's Witnesses. That's a very large part of the problem with Jehovah's Witnesses. Let me just phrase what I'm saying here. They let anybody become an elder. Anybody with a smiling face that comes to their meetings and can part halfway, keep the decorum of a meeting, they will allow to be a ministerial servant. They will allow them to be elders. They'll send anybody out knocking on people's doors. And that's bad. That's bad if you have an organization that doesn't really have much standards. And the whole disfellowshipping thing and whatnot, I mean, they got people who've been disfellowshipped that are elders. I mean, they've got people that have fallen below their standards and are still servants and are still elders. I don't know, not much long after that. I personally know elders who have had children that have had early pregnancies, like pregnancies in high school or right after high school. They have had multiple divorces, and they've had kids that have gotten in trouble with the law. Essentially, you have a person who cannot preside over their family, and that is supposed to be a qualification to become an elder, is you preside over your family well. You do a good job governing your household. There are so many elders that don't even qualify under those standards, but are elders. And what ends up happening is an elder in his past had multiple wives. They couldn't stay in a marriage. Their kids didn't turn out well, or their kids got into a lot of trouble under their direction. Their kids probably, I mean, as far as, like I said before, having kids, like it's been really bad. They were really bad at governing their own household. And what happens is sometimes under those circumstances, they're still appointed elders. And then sometimes what Kingdom Halls do is they just wait a while. So a few years after their kids move out, and there isn't any direct evidence that this person was a bad father and just a bad family person in general, whenever there isn't any immediate evidence, okay, they moved out now, okay, we'll go ahead and appoint you now to be an elder in Jehovah's Witnesses organization. I want somebody to call me on it if I'm lying. I mean, if I'm lying, I would not ask people to call me on it. Typically, when I bring up a point, I'll ask people, call me out on it. People could call my phone number. Primarily texting is better, but they could call me out on it. I'm not lying here. I grew up Jehovah's Witness. There are elders, ministerial servants, who have terrible decision making as far as governing their own family, and they're supposed to watch over the congregation. And one of the main problems is you have a lot of men who are Jehovah's Witnesses that have no interest at all in being a good Christian per se, or in presiding over their households well per se, but they want to get up on that platform and be in front of people and get attention and have titles. So flat out, Jehovah's Witnesses have a lot of people who are elders and ministerial servants that don't meet any qualifications, aren't really interested in meeting those qualifications. They just want to be, they want the clout, essentially. They just want to be on stage. They want to give a talk at an assembly in front of a large group of people. And the congregation members, they contribute to that because there's nobody to call an elder out on anything amongst Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, Jehovah's Witnesses like to talk bad about other religions, but let a pastor be having a rocky family life, his congregation will get on him. He might get thrown out of that church and they might get a different pastor. I've personally seen it. After Jehovah's Witnesses, I went on my religious journey and I've been to churches and firsthand saw churches, their congregation meeting together about, should we keep this pastor because of XYZ? The congregation itself of Jehovah's Witnesses, they essentially don't exist. There is no group or body of people, no congregation that makes sure they put someone in positions, elders, ministerial servants, pioneers, so on and so forth, that qualify. The congregation, for the large part, they are, non-existent. If an elder says, hey, we want to put a new roof on a hall, raise your hands if you agree. If all the other elders in the congregation raise their hands, then everybody else is going to raise their hands. They are followers with a capital F. They are followers of whatever Watchtower tells them, followers of whatever an elder tells them, followers of whatever they read in the Watchtower. And that's the problem. That's why Jehovah's Witnesses are not in a position to say they are in a better place than anybody else, because anybody who has had experience with Jehovah's Witnesses, and I don't mean they just knew one, but you were actually a Jehovah's Witness, you were baptized and you attended meetings and all of those things, you're aware that the congregation just follows. The other elders, they can just put whoever they want as a member. They can appoint anybody that they want to be an elder or a ministerial servant, or not appoint. And for the most part, nobody's going to say anything. Now, there's very few exceptions. Very few. There might be one or two people in an entire congregation that might speak up and say, why haven't y'all appointed this person, because he's doing everything he's supposed to. And rarely will you ever see, I've seen one or two people do that, rarely will you ever see, this person here has been married 5 times. Why is he considered someone who presides over our family in a good way? Like he bounces from woman to woman, and he marries them all because it's necessary for him to become an elder to do that. But other than that, he doesn't preside in his family in a good way because he's messed up too many times. Like, there is one of my gripes, and I always want people who are Jehovah's Witnesses to call me on it. Hey, that's not true. Well, they're not going to be able to say that because they know it's not true. I've been in a congregation where a guy was literally, during the Watchtower study, not calling on black people, and it was becoming evident because there wasn't a black person in the whole congregation he was going to call on during the Watchtower. He was going to call on his family, his friends, and other white people. And nobody was going to say nothing. I mean, literally, they will appoint anybody and make them an elder. And once they're an elder, you darn near have to break the law for anything to happen to you. It is what it is. They have extremely poor standards for their leadership. Jehovah's Witnesses do. Poor standards. From the outside looking in, you may not know that because that's primarily what Jehovah's Witnesses are concerned about, is looking good to outsiders. But in-house, in the congregations, you'll have a man who don't even work. You'll have a man who does not even work, and his wife is the person who works. And pioneers. And he's trying to get position in the congregation because there's such poor standards for elders. You just have to have been around for a while and people know who you are and they kind of like you, so they'll appoint you. And that's the honest truth. That's the honest truth. I mean, there's some people who are elders who are just nice people, but their family is a wreck. Their kids don't turn out well. I mean, you know, it is what it is. Other churches tend to have higher standards for who's in their leadership. They are concerned about their level of education. They're concerned about their experience. They're concerned about their personal life to a large extent. Jehovah's Witnesses are not concerned about their leadership's education at all. Their experience is just how you've been around for a while, so you're experienced, I guess. And their personal life, they don't know too much about the elder's personal life. And if it becomes evident that, hey, there's problems in this person's household, they don't do anything about it. I mean, I've known elders that, you know, they got baby mamas and all kinds of stuff. It is what it is. They see their kids on the weekends and pick them up from their baby mom's house. And I'll never forget when there was an elder that wasn't married. And I used to love going to sports bars to watch games. I'm in Texas now, and they just don't have them like they used to have them in Ohio. They got B-dubs, but they don't really have. That's another story. But I like going to sports bars, and I'll never forget where you had an elder sitting at a sports bar with all the waitresses, arms all around him, and he's got his arms around their waist. And these waitresses, I mean, as far as Jehovah's Witness standards, didn't meet it. They're all tatted up, but he's an elder. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. stop me when I'm lying. Jehovah's Witnesses virtually have no requirement for a person to become an elder other than you've been around for a while, you've been coming to meetings for a while, and people like you. You attend, you raise your hand and answer the 5th grade level questions that they ask. You go knock on doors. How much skill does that require? And hand out magazines. I mean, in ministerial servants also. You got people in my background. I went to a congregation that was kind of by the hood. You had ministerial servants that could barely read. And elders, or at least one that I know of that could hardly pronounce anything. It's bad. It is bad. You cannot say that organization is any better than any other. It's bad. Comment down below, 937-789-4029. Ace Walk Hill Bethelite signing out.